I saw Woody Guthrie live when I was a little kid in San Francisco.
Arlo or Woody?
I think Woody. Which one was alive back then? Was it Arlo?
Yeah, Woody died.
Okay, so it must have been Arlo.
A huge part of Joe Rogan's appeal is that he thinks out loud. He's bringing through ideas in real time, and that process is interesting to listen to for millions of people. But that's exactly why it's so important to analyze how he thinks. It's not just about catching him being wrong. It's about understanding the common errors in reasoning that we can all make, but which get amplified to a massive scale on his show. In his conversation with Jesse Wells, we saw 4 perfect examples: a direct contradiction, armchair reasoning versus evidence, false objectivity, hiding a deep bias, and a simple but revealing factual error. The conversation starts with Jesse's song about United Healthcare, and they talk about the fundamental problem of for-profit healthcare in America. Right away, Rogan lays out his principle for what makes a good doctor.
At what point in time does this become against the law? Like, at what point in time is this like, is a con game? Like, you're paying, you're thinking you're going to get covered, and they're like...
The system would have to be revolutionized. I mean, you can't have health for profit at that point. You'd have to socialize the medicine at some point.
Which I agree with. Up until a point. The problem is human nature. And if you hurt your shoulder and you need to get an operation on your shoulder, you want to go to a guy who does the Lakers. You know what I mean?
Right.
You want to go to a guy who is like, this motherfucker is the cream of the crop. He is dialed in. He's been doing this forever. He's super focused and motivated. And he drives a fucking Mercedes, right? And the reason why he drives a Mercedes, he makes a lot of money doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
You don't want someone to not feel appreciated, not have the motivation to continue to get really great at their craft. Like there's a thing with just human beings. There's a financial motivation that people have because it's a quantitative thing. You can see it on a ledger. You know that you're making more money because you're doing this and you're working harder and you're getting this reward, whether or not it makes sense or not. As soon as you eliminate that and everybody gets the same amount of money and then you lose all the killers.
Right.
Okay, so that's the argument. He calls it human nature. To get the killers, you need a powerful financial incentive. The profit motive, the Mercedes, is what drives excellence. Without it, you lose the top talent. It's a classic free market defense. But then, just a half a minute later, after they both agree that the system needs killers, Rogan offers this thought.
And you're involved in a corporation, and then the corporation has an interest for its stockholders want more money every year. They want more money every quarter. So that's what they try to do. Yeah. That's their focus. And when you're doing that with people's lives and people's health, like that should be illegal. That's where it gets fucked.
Right.
So is a profit motive a necessary driver of excellence or a corrupting influence that should be outlawed when applied to human health? In the span of 90 seconds, he argued that the very thing that creates the best doctors is also the very thing that should be outlawed. This is a textbook internal contradiction. It shows he hasn't thought the issue through to a coherent conclusion. He's just reacting with 2 different, incompatible, common-sense gut feelings. Next, they get into the history of folk music, which leads to Woody Guthrie, the cause of his death. Huntington's disease, a fully genetic disorder. A normal response would be, oh, that's tragic. But Rogan's response is to immediately distrust the medical fact in front of him.
He got a Huntington's disease and was laid up in a home for quite a while. He lost the ability to speak and everything.
What is Huntington's disease?
A rare genetic disorder. I don't really know what it does other than... Yeah, look, he's pretty young.
Breakdown of nerve cells in the brain.
Yeah.
His mother also suffered from the same illness.
Yeah, so...
What causes that? Why do I have a feeling?
Bad luck.
Maybe not. Why do I have a feeling there's some environmental toxin involved?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He was sitting next to... He was in East Palestine.
Pennsylvania? No way.
No, I'm kidding.
You're joking.
But
why do I have a feeling is the core of armchair reasoning. It's substituting a personal hunch for established evidence-based fact. Huntington's is one of the most well-understood genetic diseases on the planet. There's zero scientific debate that it's genetic and not caused by toxins. The error here isn't just being wrong about a medical fact, it's the emotional reflex to assume there's a hidden, perhaps more sinister explanation than the one provided by decades of scientific research. It's a pattern of thinking that elevates personal intuition above expert consensus, and it's a gateway to misinformation. Next, when discussing the horrors of historical lobotomies, Jesse Wells asks what the modern lobotomy might be. Rogan's answer is immediate.
So what's the modern lobotomy? What are we doing right now that we're going to read on Wiki?
Probably quite a few.
15.
There's probably quite a few.
Holy cow.
I'm sure
we were
positions for
taking
children. I'm sure that's going to be on that list.
Now first, notice the framing. I'm sure that's going to be on that list. He presents a deeply controversial and biased opinion as if it's an obvious, inevitable future reality. This is known as false objectivity. The analogy itself is also profoundly misleading. A lobotomy is a crude, non-consensual procedure to make patients docile. Gender-affirming care, by contrast, is a multi-stage consultative medical process aimed at improving a patient's mental health. By equating the two, he sidesteps making a real argument and instead uses a shocking comparison to hide his bias and frame the topic in the most negative light possible. This last example is small, but it's most telling about his overall method. As they discuss folk music, Rogan shares a personal memory.
I saw Woody Guthrie live when I was a little kid in San Francisco.
Arlo or Woody?
I think Woody. Which one was alive back then? Was it Arlo?
Yeah, Woody died.
Okay, so it must have been Arlo. So Woody died in what year? 67.
It's a harmless mistake, but it reveals a critical habit, stating something as a definitive fact before verifying it. His confidence precedes his knowledge. On a small point like this, it's just a funny moment, but when that same habit of speaking with unearned authority is applied to complex topics like medicine, science, or politics, it becomes a powerful method for spreading misinformation. So what we have are 4 distinct flaws in reasoning: an internal contradiction on healthcare, armchair reasoning about genetics, a biased analogy disguised as objective truth, and a simple factual error born from a habit of stating opinions with a certainty of fact. Again, the point isn't that Joe Rogan is uniquely flawed, it's that these are the kind of mental shortcuts and biases that we are all susceptible to. But when the person making them has a microphone that reaches millions, it's no longer just a conversation. It's shaping a culture. And it's on us, the audience, to listen critically, to recognize these flaws, and to demand a higher standard of reasoning from the voices we choose to let in.